My first pick is going to be Skyy Moore because he was not supposed to be returning punts in that game. A lot of guys got hurt for Kansas City, right? And so he ends up having to return this punt. And he kind of lost a game for Kansas City earlier on in the season when he fumbled a punt against the Colts. One of the weirdest results of the season, that the Colts beat the Kansas City Chiefs. But he takes that punt and he goes 29 yards up the right sideline, and that sets up the Chiefs to have a really good shot at getting a game-winning field goal. So as much as that Isiah penalty obviously set things up for Harrison Butker, the Chiefs maybe don't even have a chance to get that close if Skyy Moore does not take that punt and return it as well as he did.
I'm going to go Isiah Pacheco, the guy who got number 10 not long after Tyreek Hill was traded to the Dolphins, and I still see 10, and I think it's Tyreek Hill. He runs with a determination and just a brute force and will that no one else on that team has, and it's noticeable. It jumps off the screen when you're watching the games, and that look, it gets the tough yards, it gets you the first downs. He had 59 receiving yards on 5 catches. He only had 26 rushing yards on 10 attempts, but you need that to counterbalance the passing game. You need a guy who's going to bang it into the line of scrimmage, even if he only gains a couple of yards. You need that just to keep the defense on its heels and guessing a little bit about what the play is going to be. And they have a real running threat, a real running back threat in Isiah Pacheco, and he's a guy that I think is going to be a key if they're going to have a chance to beat the Eagles coming up here in 12 days, Myles.
I totally agree with you. And look at that. We took 2 rookies from the Kansas City Chiefs. What does that tell you about the job Brett Veach did over the course of this last offseason? I'm going to kind of go off the board for my next pick. That's going to be the replay board operator at Lincoln Financial Field, because the way that whoever that person is hit a button so that the replay came up on the Jumbotron, that made Kyle Shanahan not pull the red flag out and challenge that play on Devontae Smith on 4th and 3 on the first drive of the game. Kyle Shanahan said this, that he was probably going to challenge it, but then he saw the replay, and the replay, he was surprised that they showed it because, of course, it ostensibly would not have helped the Eagles. But on the replay he saw, it looked like Smith caught it. And then later on, we all learned that Smith actually did not catch that ball. So that is definitely an unsung hero, because that drive, of course, ended in a touchdown for the Eagles.
You assume the replay board operator at Lincoln Financial Field even would have had access to that replay. I don't think that person would have, but I like the creativity. I'm going to see that, and I'm going to raise you one. I'm going to say whoever got in the ear of Ron Torbert and told him to throw a flag for intentional grounding, even though that's not one of the things that expedited review is supposed to encompass, they've got that pipeline. They're not afraid to talk through it. And that flag came so late from Ron Torbert, who's the guy that makes the call for intentional grounding. Somebody broke the rules, and it ended up being a pretty key moment in the game, and it was intentional grounding, folks. I know people are saying that Samaje Perine was in the vicinity. He was 7 yards away. He wasn't in the vicinity, and we know what Joe Burrow was doing there. He does that move all the time, that quick little throw it down to the ground. And he didn't do it quick. He didn't abort the play. He knew the walls were closing in, and he just fired it through an opening to the ground. He was trying to avoid a sack. That was intentional grounding. Look, I like starting it up when there's a bad call. That wasn't a bad call, but somebody told Ron Torbert to make that call. Unsung hero, especially from the Chiefs' perspective. All right, let's take a break. We will do round 3 when PFT Live concludes right after this. All right, one more round of the Unsung Heroes from the Conference Championship Sunday. Myles, what do you got?
Oh, this is another one that's kind of off the board and probably depends on your perspective, but I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Mayor, because for whatever reason, he decided to stir the pot with this whole Joe Burrow needs to take a paternity test to see if he's Patrick Mahomes' father thing. And that provided some pretty clear motivation for the Kansas City Chiefs, but it also gave us one of the best podium speeches in the history of podium speeches when Travis Kelce calls the Cincinnati Mayor a jabroni.
Oh, it was awesome. And it was clear they took all that talk to heart. The Burrowhead stuff, the mayor, the cigars, everything. And it's not like they won by 30. They needed that extra little impetus to get over the top against a Bengals team that is very dangerous. Let me just for fun, I'll go Brett Kern, the Eagles punter, because he still averaged 45 per punt, even though one of his punts was marred by the wire. How did they not see that the wire? Yeah. How did they not see that the wire hit the ball? Everybody on the sidelines saw it. It's not like they all collectively cooked up a lie at the same time. They had some same common hallucination. They all saw it hit the wire. Well, you know, that wire is pretty thin, Phil. It's kind of tough to see it, but and that's the great irony. And again, I think I'm using it right. In the one game, we had a mulligan when we shouldn't have had one. In the other game, we didn't have a mulligan when we should have had one. And Brett Kern still had 45 yards per punt, even with one of them marred by Skyy. All right, that's it. Myles, you can go back to bed. Thanks for filling in. Hopefully Chris will be back tomorrow. If not, set your alarm for 3:30 a.m. Pacific time. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you Wednesday. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.